This podcast contains some magical adult language. Listener discretion is advised. And sorry, Mom.
I'm going to Disney World. I'm going to...
Whoa. You're not Mickey Mouse, you're a rat.
Rat smack! Besides, they're tourists. What do they know?
Welcome, rat bastards, to Rat Castle, a progressive chat about Disney magic sans pixie dust. I'm Dave, Uncle Dave, you can call me tonight, Uncle Dave. And with me today are Nathan.
Oh, hello, Uncle Dave. Unky Dave.
Sarah.
Hi, Dave.
Hi. And Victoria.
Hello, Uncle Dave. Can I have my dollar?
And unfortunately, Janine is not with us. She is flying home from Norway. I cannot wait to hear about that trip. That sounds amazing.
I know, doesn't that sound so good?
Yeah.
She looks like she's like in a winter wonderland up there. It's so pretty.
Still? In
no,
June?
like no,
Well,
I
it
don't,
was.
it was, but it
I
looks
don't
like
think it is
it
anymore.
looks beautiful.
Yeah, it looks gorgeous, right? I just want to go to those hot springs those blue lagoon things that you always say, where you cover yourself in the salt mud. Yes.
That is one
Anyway.
way of doing it. You know what I would say, though, is she is not the first to pass that way, nor shall she be the last.
Oh,
Back over the falls. Nice. That was a good deep cut there, Nathan.
Thank
that was
you.
Nice. That's nicely done.
Nori.
Nicely done. And then we splashed down next to an oil rig, and we're done. So I am sorry for missing last week. I was cheating on y'all with another podcast. But we are podcast polyamorous here, so we just have to discuss it and work through it.
Yeah.
I was on the Annual Pass. If you guys don't follow Annual Pass on the Rooster Teeth Network, you should give them a listen. Jack and Jeff are so much fun, and I had a great time with them in Orlando, and they gave us a really nice shout out in their show. So return the favor. They're a wonderful, wonderful podcast that we love.
Yes, they were great to meet because I of course, as our audience knows, I rode Cosmic Rewind with you. With Jack and his wife, and they're just such a great crew, and they have a great fan base, and it was fun to hang out with those guys.
Yeah, we're gonna have more collabs with them. They're a lot of fun.
Yes, please.
All righty, let us start with Disney World. First bit of news is coming about Princess and the Frog replacement. And at Disneyland and Magic Kingdom, and yes, so I guess it was announced by Anika Noni Rose, who plays Tiana, and announced it at an event and on her socials. And Disney, I guess, responded and confirmed that 2024 is the date that we should be looking for those redos of Splash Mountain into a Princess and the Frog experience. Is that what y'all heard?
No, Disney made a statement shortly after and said that's they're not confirming or denying the timeline.
Okay. All right.
But when are they giving us new information, Victoria? That's, I think, important as well.
They said they're going to do it at the Essence Festival from June 30th to July 3rd, and it's in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Great.
Interesting.
That's a perfect place to announce it. I think that will get a lot of good feedback.
I wonder where she got 2024 from then, because was that the original thing and they just backtracked?
You know, I bet it's from scheduling her voiceover sessions, and maybe she wasn't supposed to talk about it. Who knows? But you know, she's going to be their bread and butter for that ride. So I'm sure it's like, oh, well, cat's out of the bag. Let's maybe they were going to announce it and they allowed her to tease it. Who knows? I
don't know, because as we have seen, any voice is replaceable if you've ridden Cosmic Rewind, because you can be a discount rocket any day.
Oh,
and
discount
okay.
rocket,
discount rocket who sounds just like Columbo for some reason. Oh, it's a lovely house.
Excuse me. Yeah,
one more thing. One more thing. One more.
That was a choice.
Yeah.
That was
so anyway, but this happens all the time. I feel like actors say stuff and they were told things because it seems, unless I'm wrong, Dave, you would be the industry in pro of us chuckleheads. So you tell us, 2024 seems like an extremely fast schedule to get something done.
Yeah, it is. I mean, unless they have been, there's a lot more going on inside that they've already been doing, right? Because they sort of announced it over the pandemic, right? Wasn't it announced in like late 2020 or early 21?
So May, June.
Yeah, something like that.
But the thing is, like when it came to Guardians of the Galaxy, for the refurb for God, why am I blinking? For for DCA, like when they did
Mission
that was like,
Breakout?
yes, Mission Breakout. It was within 6 months of like once they closed the Hollywood Tower and then once they opened that back up. So like, is it possible like that
No,
they could
because
like do it that quick?
that's not a water ride. Water's weird. Water, you gotta do a lot of
Yeah.
composed to adding some screens and some decor. And I rode Splash Mountain a couple weeks ago and just thinking through it, and I was like, they got there's a lot they're gonna have to do. Just like not even retheme, but sort of just upkeep because they're gonna want to start this thing fresh, and so they're gonna, I assume, gut some elements and they do that every February or something anyway, but I think they're gonna give those rides a real cleanup before they even do any retheming, and that could take a long time too. So,
How long did the Frozen redo take?
that's a small ride.
Smaller, right? A smaller footprint. With water rides, this is a little inside baseball. With water rides, the complexity for water rides comes with how many levels of water management. Meaning, is it all at one level, like at a Six Flags park, or is it 2 or 3 or 4? And both Splash Mountains, I think, have something like 6. So
Yeah.
there's different tables basically where they have to cycle the water to at different heights, and that is ridiculously complex. For comparison, with the Flintstones one we did at Abu Dhabi had 2. There was one on the ground and one on the second floor, and that's it. So I think that might be, a ride like that. Probably, in addition to getting all that refurb, it'd be dumb of them not to go through and like replace all of the tech. Replace giant sections of track. I'm sure it's not going to just be what was there, because that ride's 40 years old now.
90s. So
Yeah.
It was 92 that it opened.
Yeah. 89 and 89, 90 in Disneyland. So
yeah.
I mean, I'm excited for it. It's I'd rather than take the right amount of time, but if 2024 does sound aggressive, so we'll see how it goes.
But anything that stops the complaining fastest, the stage of bemoaning Splash Mountain, that'd be great. So
I feel like we'll never get over that. It'll still be a thing.
I would like to just wake up tomorrow and they're like, well, we did it during the night. It's done.
Yeah, right.
Huh? What?
I'll be first in line.
Yeah, am I kidding myself? They're going to sell so much farewell merch.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, but they're going to sell a shit ton of Princess the Frog merch too. So
Yeah, that's true. Speaking of merch, Dave.
Speaking of merch, guess what month it is, folks? You know as well as I do. Dun, da, da, it's Pride. Can you see the
happy.
joy on my face that it's Pride again?
Yeah, you're so excited.
Why are we so sad?
Well, you know what?
Oh no, look, we got ourselves a cynical gay here.
No, it's a balance for me. Like I think there is a way for companies to engage with Pride well, and there's ways that they do it where it's just bandwagony, and 80% of socials and companies are bandwagony, and it just comes off as insincere. You got to put your money where your mouth is, and that's the problem with the Disney stuff that they're doing this year. They've got a couple of Pride walls, they've got these PhotoPass lenses, they've got all of this stuff. Even your ticket on your Apple Watch and on Apple Wallet they have Pride themes for it. Does it feel? I guess the question is, does it feel like overcorrection, overcompensation for the bullshit they pulled for the last couple of months?
I just feel like to commodify identity is like one of the weirdest things to me. Like even like when we have things during like Black History Month, when you go into the Target and then they have like all the shirts with like people who have passed or like people who have died for the movement or civil rights, and like it's just really weird to see stuff like that. And especially like for Pride when it comes from Disneyland or just Disney in general, seeing all the things that they've done within the past like few months, it just feels like a joke. Like it's just like, oh, we're gonna make money off of you guys, and you're gonna take it because you're just gonna be happy with it because it has a rainbow on it, and it just sucks.
I guess that they are giving a bunch of charities the proceeds from any of the Pride merch, though, right? I think I read that.
It's like 100%. I think this time around.
Yeah. So I think that there is something as sort of empty consumerist protesting that doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
Because I'm fine with buying that stuff and supporting them, if only that if people just remember Pride was a riot, and so if you can back up your beautiful Pride merch that you get from Disney with a little bit of actual activism and support on your own, great. Then it evens out. Yeah,
I'll be impressed when Disney does Pride merch in Shanghai. But right now it's like, like you're gonna take a stance, or is this just if there wasn't $1 to be made, they wouldn't do it. And
I knew Disney wasn't gonna take a stance when they didn't even talk about the Uyghur genocide. So like during the whole Mulan production. So whatever. Like it is what it is.
Yeah,
like, they just care about money at this point.
It's capitalism. We all know that. But at the same token, I think having big signs that say Pride at a giant vacation place where a lot of people from all over this country of every political stripe go to, like, let them protest, let them pout as they walk by it. Fuck them. Like on that sense, the visibility part of it, I can't criticize. Right.
Yeah. Wasn't there this classic quote from Harvey Fierstein about like visibility above all when it comes to that, like that idea that if you're not out there, that is something.
Yep.
So you're right. I mean, in the end, Disney's this massive corporation, and they're putting the purple wall's got a pride flag on it right now in Tomorrowland, which is a big deal. So.
Hey, and Love Victor is back on Disney Plus and not just on Hulu. So we won, Joe. We did it.
We did it, Joe.
I'm just loving Disney right now. Like, Disney is woke, so conservatives can't go, and it's Pride Month, and so like religious bigots can't go, and so it's just a really nice park right now. It's just it's just full of great people.
And just as the old gay here, like I remember when Gay Day used to be unofficial, because it still is technically, they do Pride Month now, but Gay Day started as a buyout. It used to be a travel company, Odyssey Travel out here in California used to do it and buy it out for the evening like any other corporation, and then it turned into a mix-in with regular guests. But for a long time, Disney like would seek out straight couples that dad might be wearing a red shirt and pull them to the side and say, can we give you another shirt to wear today if it makes you uncomfortable? Like they used to do that. So it's like in my lifetime seeing it go from Disney going la 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 la, this doesn't happen, to here's a Pride wall you can post your Instagram. Like there's some net gain there.
Even your own experiences with Videopolis when you were talking about that a few podcasts back.
Yeah,
I got kicked out.
Yeah, that's crazy.
For kissing a boy. Let's move on, Nathan. A couple of pieces of Epcot news that you have for us, right?
Well, as we all know, Cosmic Rewind is officially open. I wrote it again just this past Tuesday, and it was still good and still lots of fun, and still a little complicated, plot-wise, but whatever. It's still fun. But in beautiful, just beautiful Disney World fashion. It's just classic Disney World. You see, when you're at Disneyland, you would open a Guardians of the Galaxy ride, and you may say have a Groot meet and greet. Maybe a Star-Lord meet and greet. And of course, Epcot has had Groot or not Groot. We've never had Groot, but we've had Star-Lord and Gamora before, boogieing it out over at the American stage. So clearly they're going to open this ride with some sort of Guardians meet and greet, right? But it's Disney World, baby. they thought we could save money. Let's just get the I Can robot we used in Tomorrowland and get someone to do that instead and save a couple dollars. So the I Can robot was out like all last week, which of course, if you know anything about the I Can robot, it's sort of like a robot costume on a Segway, and it has a screen, and it's
It looks like a
fun.
transformer.
It's very fun and very Tomorrowland and not at all Guardians of the Galaxy. But it's also a thing you can literally go to a website and buy from the corporation. Like,
really?
yes, it's just
I can buy one right now.
yeah. I mean, it's guys. There's a human inside. I hate to break it to you,
Yeah, right.
but we don't buy the human. We just buy the costume. But
Damn.
they make robot costumes and that is a standard. They have like a photo of that same model hanging out with Paris Hilton at a party. Like it is the cheapest thing. I mean, it's fine. You don't see it everywhere, but it's something for Tomorrowland. But this is what they chose for the openings. The I Can robot was out at the Guardians of the Galaxy opening week. I don't know how you botched this, Disney. But then again, I've been to all your anniversaries for the last 5 years, so I get it.
We have a Star-Lord and Gamora in front of Mission Breakout who do a little show like 4
every
times
day.
a day.
Yeah, we had a Star-Lord and a Baby Groot for
We had a whole show.
yeah, we had a whole show at Epcot. We had a Star-Lord. It's not like we don't have a Star-Lord costume lying around somewhere. I don't know, and it's not like we haven't figured out the legal reasons. So I can't figure it out. I don't know why.
Yep.
But so
Someone brought up a good point on Twitter. It kind of has to do with another topic that we have coming up about characters in Disneyland. But they were saying that there's a possibility that there's not as many actors in Orlando to like play those face characters. Like, would you say that that's a possibility?
That's definitely a thing that's going on right now.
They're having trouble finding talent. Is that what you're saying? Like now?
Someone, I know a few people in entertainment right now. They're struggling with finding people right now.
yeah. I mean, they booted everybody out, and then they all had to go somewhere because there wasn't other industry entertainment around to do anything. Yeah. So you either waited or you left. So that's not a surprise to me. But again, I guess I'm trying to think. If you have the Groot, right, costume ready to go, it doesn't matter who's behind it. It's the same with the I Can robot. So there's still no excuse. Mm-hmm. It's not like they didn't have this ride. They knew it was coming. They've been telling me a lot about it. So
you're telling me you can't find a random white guy in all of Florida?
A random white guy
to play Star-Lord?
Who likes the 80s?
White guy who likes the 80s who can pretend to dance like Michael Jackson.
Who's slightly disturbingly conservative? Yeah, you can find it in Florida. There's plenty. Yeah.
So it's like, come on, Disney.
It also came out that the Guardians Omni coaster was not the original idea for this.
Yes.
Was it not?
So according to D23, there was an interview with D23 with Wyatt Winter, who's an Imagineer. So anyway, Wyatt said, we had the idea we didn't even call it an Omni coaster then, but a coaster that we could turn and rotate you into the show. So that idea, along with the idea for a coaster that was about the Big Bang singularity kind of going through the cosmos, those were two ideas that were out there. Winter said that then they got a call to put Guardians of the Galaxy in Epcot, and we kind of mashed all those ideas together. I do love that in the sense that if you know the history of Epcot, it literally was two parks. Literally, the models were smushed together. This is pretty standard for Epcot. Some people seem to be upset by this. I don't really understand why you would be, because I don't know. I don't think they would have got this off the ground without the IP at this point. But I don't know. I like that they were thinking about it. I think that they recognized they had to do something, and I do appreciate that. I kind of like that the whole thing started with the Big Bang, opposed to saying, "Well, we have Guardians of the Galaxy. I don't know, the Big Bang." Like, at least this comes from the right place, or the heart's there. But
I feel like it makes it true to Epcot. the fact that it was like science, the Big Bang, and then they thought of the IP afterwards.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's something we talked about. Like, it'd be nice if that was a little more present overall,
Hmm.
that sort of educational aspect in the end. But I don't know. I'm done fighting like this battle, especially because I enjoyed it. So,
Yeah.
it's just interesting that I'm excited to hear over the years we'll hear the stories about how this kind of came about and who said what and
Yeah.
who was the executive that made that call and that sort of stuff. And those are always fun. So, we've been getting, I feel like recently we've been getting lots of leaks and different audio stuff and everything because Disney's been notoriously firing people, and people are like, screw it. And so we'll hear those stories eventually. I love retired Imagineers. They'll tell you anything. So one day. Last but not least, when it comes to the old East Coast, Star Tours is going to, well, apparently all Star Tours, at least Disneyland and ours, are going to get some new tours coming up. This was announced, of course, during the big Star Wars celebration. Recently, we had the Skywalker Rises update that was done. But looks like there's more coming, which makes a lot of sense because there's a lot more Star Wars that's been made since even that.
You want Star Wars? Here's some more Star Wars.
Here's some more Star Wars.
I put Star Wars in your Star Wars so you can Star Wars while you Star Wars.
Yeah, I hate Wreck-It Ralph too, but I do feel a little bit like the bunny shoving the pancakes in my mouth when it comes to Star Wars. It's like, yes, please, but also her. Yeah, sure, why not? More Star Tours. But I think the big question, yeah, Mando for sure. I think the big question though is it time to close this ride? We'll just stick with Hollywood Studios for now and talk about it at a Hollywood Studios perspective. Is there really a place for a Star Wars ride outside of Galaxy's Edge at this point?
No.
Oh, it could go. It could.
It could go. Yeah, I think it sits in a weird spot. I don't think it's like really far from the land, so I just don't like where it is. And I feel like it doesn't really fit in anymore. No one really goes by that ride as much because they don't even. It's by the Indiana Stunt Show, right?
Yeah, it's a quick. Yeah. It's always open. You can always go on it.
There was more traffic when they had that little lightsaber training show with the kids.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, it would break my heart. We just hit the 30th anniversary.
Yeah. It opened January 1st, 1987, and I know that or January 10th, 1987, and I know that because it was my 17th birthday and I was there.
And it was amazing.
It was amazing. I waited 4 hours. I got in line at the train station on Main Street.
Yeah.
In Disneyland.
That was a massive turning point for Disneyland. And a huge deal for Eisner.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I love this ride, but at the same time, oh boy, simulators feel kind of old now, don't they? Like they feel a little. It's hard to make it. There's this interesting lingo. I feel like there are certain things that you can do in rides, and then some of those things stop feeling fresh. Like roller coasters are roller coasters, and you can kind of make it work. But simulators, I don't know. People are a little more aware now. They have phones. They have VR sets. It's just.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just doesn't hit the way it used to. And then of course you advance it. You create Smuggler's Run and you're like, well, that's a simulator, but it's an interactive simulator.
Which I would argue that Star Tours is a better ride
100%.
than Smuggler's Run.
100%.
But it's not but it's such a big advancement, especially once they start adding new missions. I can't wait for that. I'm going this weekend and I'm going to try Chewie mode for the first time because
it's really fun.
I read how to do it. Yeah. And get both things at coaxium because I need to remember that goddamn brake on the left pilot.
Gotta get it.
Anyway, I mean, I'll miss it if it goes, but I won't miss it. If you know what I mean. Like it had a really good run, and the reboot in 2010 when they put in the Adventures Continue with digital projection and branching in 3D. Like that was a great upgrade and perfect for the time. And I don't know. I'll miss it. I'll have a lot of sads when it goes, but it will go off into the sunset proudly. You know what I mean?
What would you put instead of it?
Well, I mean, the rumor mill, the fan rumor mill at least thinks, Tomorrowland could be one big Stark Expo, and that becomes the Iron Man experience that is in Hong Kong Disneyland.
Yeah, at least for Disneyland.
At least for Disneyland. I don't believe that's going to happen. Go online and look at the ride film because it's not great.
No.
it really isn't. I hate to say it for my friends who worked on it, but I think Iron Man can be something a lot better than that. And I don't know if that's the future for Tomorrowland. And I don't know if that fixes the Tomorrowland problem.
The Tomorrowland problem is like boy, that's a book and a half.
That's a whole episode. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but I think you have to do, if you're going to do Marvel, you have to, it's still got to be randomized. People have an expectation now to have a randomized experience. And I think like if you're going to do random adventures with the Avengers, that's hard to say. Random adventures with the Avengers, 3 times fast. Then fine. But but it doesn't
a cabin-based simulator, as you said, is just, it's over and done.
It is, unless you break off the top and you can do interesting things like they did with Storm Rider in Tokyo, where you have stuff come in, or you have sort of that Simpsons Back to the Future vibe a little bit, not a big screen, but there's a Kennedy Space Center, oddly enough, has a fairly fun, kind of a different simulator, but then it opens up, the top opens up and you see the stars, and that was like a kind of a big wow moment. So you have to do something unique, and there's nothing necessarily, I guess the randomization was the unique concept, and now I gotta find something else. I mean, I always joke that they should just make Hollywood Studios Star Tours Futurama and just do it, but
that would be so good.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you literally become the delivery service.
Yeah, and it fits great in Tomorrowland at Disneyland.
Good news, everyone.
Good news, everyone.
Speaking of which, let's move over to the West Coast. Sarah,
why not Disneyland?
Why not Disneyland? Let's talk about that. Speaking of Star Wars and Disneyland, big news there.
Yes, so more Star Wars talk. So fans have noticed an interesting plot hole in Galaxy's Edge. So recently they added Boba Fett and Fennec Shand.
Yep.
Fennec Shand, thank you. So they added them over at Disneyland, and with the addition of them, it's kind of weird because they are in a completely different timeline, and they come from like completely different episodes, where we have current Galaxy's Edge being based off of episode 8 and 9. Disney claims that any new Disney Plus Star Wars characters won't interact with the current characters that they have. So you won't see like Boba Fett with Chewie, like that will just not be a thing.
Right.
So that has kind of brought on a couple questions about the timeline, as well as whether or not it is fair that Disneyland is getting all these new characters, and
no.
Galaxy's Edge and Galaxy's Edge in Orlando is not.
Yes, I mean, Scott Trowbridge, it was very carefully worded in the press release on the Disney blog about how you as a visitor to Batuu can see multiple stories. The residents of Batuu will not, and so the original timeline will stick around to a certain effect. I had a ton of people like ping me about it. What do you think? The immersive theater part of it, they're just chopping it off at the legs. And I was like, actually, I don't think they are. I'm an outlier to that. I think
they came in at the knees to begin with.
Right, exactly. That's exactly right. Had Galaxy's Edge open with all the entertainment and interactive stuff, the fixed timeline might have had a fighting chance, but it opened without anything to communicate those stories. So it was, as we use the waiters, swimmers, divers engagement pyramid in our industry, it was all diver, no waiter. Like it was, and it only paid off for people who like us, frankly, nerds, who are now like, it's such a shame. And it's like, well, no, they're still doing it. You just gotta pay $5,000 for it.
Exactly.
And like I commend the intent. And when it was announced, I was like, all right, let's see if this goes. But I think there's a giant amount of the audience, giant percentage of the audience who's like, I just want to see a cool Star Wars.
Yeah,
I want to see 100%. The thing that I love.
Yeah, they don't sign up for a Ren Fair, and then they're just all of a sudden like, bright suns, and they're like, what? Like,
and even Ren Fairs allow Gallifreyans and Federation Star Trek people there too. So
that's true. Yeah, it's a little more. It's even more expressive than Galaxy's Edge. It's fine. Who cares? Like, we've seen that Avengers Campus does this, and it's fine, and people are happy because guess what? friggin' Moon Knight shows up the day after it's on TV. Like, that's amazing. And
Yeah.
that's what everybody wants. And I get it. And I think they saw the success of that on social media of having those characters in the park as soon as available. And even as simple as Loki having different costumes for his episodes. I think people were like, they realized, oh wow, this is a lot of like really cheap marketing. Why
we
are
would
not
walk by
doing
that
this?
Loki and yell at him, "Hey, variant!" And he would get all pissed off. It was really fun.
Yeah, see, it's fun, and you can and you kind of feel in the know if you are watching the content.
Yeah.
So I agree. It would be weird if all of a sudden they were back to dancing to what was the different songs they would dance to on the stages together and all that. Try to think of examples. Rasputin.
I don't think it's. I don't think it's going to be that. It's not going to be.
And as long as it's not that, I think we're fine. It'll be, Boba Fett's going to hang out in the marketplace, and he's not going to go past the barrier where the ship is for, the First Order. And you might see some of those. I would not be surprised in the future if you see less area specific customizations and stuff. I could see that ship going away and it being more of a standard ship, because guess what? You have a stage that only one bad guy can come out of right now. And that's not good. So
yeah.
Like you said, who cares? Like, it's gonna happen. Like, those characters are gonna come in contact with each other. Like, they're bound to see each other, so it doesn't matter. I feel like it's really not that deep. If you see your favorite character, it is what it is. Just go say hi, go take a picture. In terms of Orlando or Disney World, you have all those free characters that are coming out of like the Halcyon that are dressed up. So go take pictures
we have all
with
our
them.
free characters. Thank you. Yeah, we have all our rich people that show up in costume.
That are dressed up to the nines, apparently. So go take pictures with them. It'll be fine. You'll still get that exclusive experience.
Yeah, we're excited. I'm gonna go check out, Darth Maul and in Spirit Halloween makeup.
There you go.
Appreciate it.
It's an exclusive experience. Like, that's what you guys wanted.
Speaking of exclusive experiences that you can no longer have.
Big news on the big news on the Magic Key front, right, Sarah?
Yeah. Okay, so Magic Key holders, future Magic Key holders, I apologize. Disneyland has paused all sales for all kinds of Magic Keys.
Snap.
Yes. So a while ago, it was paused for the two, the Dream and the Belief Key, but now it is paused for the two lower keys. And there's been a lot of talk about how they're going to be canceling Magic Keys and how they're not coming back and blah, blah, blah. But the only reason that they're only stopping, like that they've finally taken out all of these, is because the two bottom keys, you can't even get in for the rest of the summer. So what are you buying them for?
Yeah.
And they're pausing them. You could still, if you have a Magic Key, you could still renew it. Like, you're still able to purchase one or like renew your existing one, but you just can't purchase a brand new one. And in my opinion, I think you should wait to purchase a new one until they get all their stuff together.
Yeah.
So, I personally have beef with the Magic Key thing. I hate the reservation system. I hate the way that they were marketed, especially as a Dream Key holder.
Yeah.
I can't even go.
Yeah, I'm a Dream Key holder as well. Aren't they? And they're getting sued about this, and they're like a civil case because effectively they're blackout dates, and you're supposed to have no blackout dates.
Yeah,
it's just called something different now.
They're going through the courts. From the last reports that we've seen, there hasn't really been any talk outside of that. But I'm hoping that that with them pausing these sales, that they can go back to the drawing board and say, okay, how did we get it wrong? Let's fix it. Because Disneyland cannot survive without annual pass holders. It's just not going to happen. So they need to make sure that they are able to like work with us and like be as, not to say like Magic Key holders should be like entitled to entry, but if I'm paying that much money and you're telling me that I'm not going to have reservation, like I'm not going to have blackout dates, let me in. Like,
I'm of two minds about it because they had to do something. Like it was getting untenable, right? This is a monster they created, not just the Genie Plus monster like we saw in Shape Land, but like the monster of a local audience that you gave away the gate to for so many years. And so you have this culture of entitlement in Southern California of I should be able to pay $100 and come whenever I want and treat it like a mall. And not that that's bad, but it is not what the place was built for capacity wise or content wise or frankly profit wise. So they had to do something, and this was the first attempt. I have no idea where they're going to take it. If they're going to get rid of them entirely, if they just if they could double or triple the price like they do in like in Japan, the annual passes are very expensive and sell out very quickly. But I don't know. Who knows? I mean, I'll say as a lifelong pass holder, I've literally had a pass to Disneyland since 1988 or 89. Every year except for the 2 years that I lived in Orlando. I am not renewing this year. Because at the end of the day, it's better for me to buy 2 or 3 Costco 3-packs.
Yeah.
And just use them whenever I damn well please than have to worry about, am I going to be able to get a reservation? I have a friend coming in town last minute and he wants to go this weekend and he can get a ticket and I can't go with him. That sucks. So yeah. I until they sort of fix that problem, I'm not interested in shelling out, close to $3,000.
Yeah. And the nice part about having a Magic Key was, or just an annual pass, was taking the stress away from going to like Disneyland. So now that I have to stress the night before for me to get a reservation, and then all these hacks and cheat codes and videos that are being made so that you can get a reservation. It shouldn't be that way. I agree with everything that you said. I just think that there needs to be some sort of change, whether they revert back to the old system,
right,
or they get a brand new system. It's very unsustainable, and that's the way that they made it. So it's they made their bed, they better sleep in it.
Yeah. This is a giant issue that they need to fix, because they built a culture around those passes, and they can't accommodate that culture anymore.
Yeah.
Going back to Star Wars for a minute, don't we have some huge, amazing, crazy number of announcements for Star Wars TV shows, right?
Yeah. So I can't even count how many shows have been announced, or what the hell.
Billion.
Probably a billion light years. I don't know. But it feels like there's probably a ton of new shows. So I personally don't have any idea about what any of these shows are going to be about, or where they're going, or the timeline, or whatever. I'm not a huge Star Wars nerd, very surface level. So what are your guys' thoughts, or if there are any that you're excited about?
I am very excited for Ahsoka.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably I'm not actually I don't know the Clone Wars and Rebels. I've dipped my toe in it, but it wasn't formed. That's what I hear. And that's what I hear. Right. And I'm hoping that this becomes my gateway for that a little bit, to want to go back and watch more of it. So that's the top one for me.
I think it has to be for me too, interestingly enough, because of Rebels. We have Hera and Sabine and Chopper coming back, and most likely because we're getting Ezra as well, and the thing is Ahsoka's interesting, and they've already talked about she's looking for Thrawn, and all this stuff has happened in Rebels, and so and that show is so good and so connected to Dave Filoni, and he's working on this. I don't want to say Ahsoka is sort of like a Clone Wars Rebels next season, but it kind of is. It's more that than it's going to be a Mando spinoff, because she's been around forever if you've been watching, and so I highly recommend watch Rebels at the very least. And there are great resources out there for Clone Wars, especially of if you want to watch certain arcs, whether that be certain villain arcs or Ahsoka specific episodes, and I recommend those quite a bit, because those episodes, you'll be in the middle of an amazing Obi-Wan stuff, and then the next 3 episodes are about Jar Jar, and you're I'm good.
Right. Right.
So, and they stopped doing that, but after the first couple seasons, but it gets less sporadic. And,
the other shows they all sound, Rangers of the New Republic and
Visions was interesting.
More Mando. Visions, I love the first season.
I didn't like it. I liked the first couple. I liked the Ronin episode.
Yeah, that was obviously the best one.
Clearly, and that's why they started with it. And some of them I was I can see what they're trying for, and other stuff I was this is out there.
It's bonkers, yeah.
At the same time, what funny was I was getting back into Matrix because the new movie was coming out. And so I had just watched
Animatrix.
Animatrix, yeah, and
Yeah.
that was really and I think it was bad for Visions because I was comparing them, and Animatrix is like so well done.
Yeah.
Every one of
Yeah.
them is a gem. So
Yeah.
it was fun. I have no issue with there being more Visions. I think that's great, and let animators do fun stuff. So that's cool.
The other one that really sounds super cool to me is called The Acolyte.
Mm-hmm.
It's from the
Whodunit?
creator of Russian Doll. It's a whodunit in the Star Wars universe that's set during the High Republic era, which is
Ooh.
really awesome.
Yeah.
I loved the games around that, and I'm very excited to see how they represent that on screen.
I just want something outside of the desert.
Right.
That's all I want. Let that planet go, please.
please, no more. All righty. Let's move on. Victoria, you have some news for us on Universal Studios Florida and that new tribute store, which looks really cool. Tell us about it.
Yes, so I got invited by Universal to be one of the first to tour the new tribute store. So it is essentially movie themed, and it's really it's a great homage to several films that most of us have grown up with, and attractions that were opening day attractions. So one of the first rooms, it's set up like a old school movie theater, and the first room is ET, and every room in here is just amazingly detailed. So like, just for example, when you walk into the ET room, if you see like a little light switch that has like old school Hulk on the side, it actually activates a little lamp on the table.
Oh,
It is decorated like just a true 80s room, plenty of photo ops. Um, Merch for ET's 40th. Next room is Jaws. My guest who was with me actually told me there was a tribute to a skipper that passed
oh.
in the room.
The pictures look really great. I mean, I'm all for them. If they don't have the Back to the Future attraction anymore, it's still nice to give a shout out to those movies because everybody loves them. But I love this vibe that they're creating with the tribute stores every year. It's a really clever. They're doing with merch what all the parks are already doing with food and food festivals. Is they're saying, let's make merch a pop up and make it an attraction that people come back for. I think that is ridiculously smart.
Isn't it weird how Universal's now has the best Disney stores? Like, it's beautifully themed.
Yeah.
Oh goodness, it was really like just I was just in awe of the details. Like even in the Back to the Future room, there's actual props from the movie in there.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was like the Panthers or something like that they had in there, like signed memorabilia from the cast, and they had like movie posters for like Armageddon and American Gangster, and like even merch from Hollywood, Universal Studios Hollywood. Like they had like base hotel merch and stuff.
Cool.
It was really, really. I was very impressed with it, and I
Very
love
cool.
that they changed it up seasonally.
Is the merch, I mean, and is there new merch released in these stores? I know with the Halloween ones there are, like when they pop up, it's new stuff that's only there limited time. Is it the same for this tribute store?
For what I was told, there's some new things, and it's mostly new things, but a mix of old too. I know the ET room was full of new merch for the most part, just for the anniversary, but I didn't get a good look at Back to the Future. It didn't. It looked kind of sparse to be honest.
Yeah, my issue with Universal when it comes to this stuff, period, though, is, and I think it is only highlighted when you have a tribute store for these films, is they don't have any ride specific merch. It's all very generalized movie merch. They did a couple years ago. They did these like old school '90s like glasses that had ET and Back to the Future and King Kong on them and stuff during their kind of retro line, and those were amazing because they were like for the rides. And I think we just like Dave. I remember on Twitter I think we both saw some sort of I think it was a Tokyo toy or something of Back to the Future.
Back to the Future, yeah.
With the like not the DeLorean of the movies, but the DeLorean that you get in
The ride
like,
vehicle, yeah.
yeah. And like that's the kind of stuff I want to buy.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I get why they don't do specific, but at the same time, it's a shame because it
But I
feels
think
like
there's low hanging fruit that could do that.
Yeah,
Like if they
totally.
sold light blue T-shirts that said Amity Boat Tours on it, just like
Easy.
the staff used to wear,
Mhm.
great. I'd buy that. If they like, I can't believe they've never done a camp shirt that is the Doc Brown train pattern that the ride ops used to wear.
Yeah.
Like, why don't they sell that?
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like they just generally lack in the merchandising department. But I really like the idea of the tribute store. But I had a quick question. Is it just like, are they just gonna take it all down by the time Halloween gets here? So it's
Yep.
only here for like what, 2, 3 months?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh,
That store space obviously is like they're making it the black box of retail that they can switch out and make pop
Yeah.
up.
And this
Mhm.
kind of keeps the Halloween Horror Nights people busy when they're not doing set up for Horror Nights and stuff.
Right.
Like the
Yeah.
That's
same
true.
crews.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool. The one thought I had when it comes to this new merch, we were talking about ride merch, is I got 2 words for you, and that is Botanicus Funko. Like I want a Botanicus
Oh,
Funko.
that would be good. Yeah, sure.
It's easy. Give me that Botanicus. Where's my Botanicus?
All righty. Moving on into Universal Hollywood. Victoria, we have some news about Nintendo World.
Yes. So for those who are theme park enthusiasts, we already know there's a Nintendo World in Universal Studios Japan. Universal Studios Hollywood announced that Nintendo World for their park will be opening sometime in early 2023. Originally, we just heard 2023, but looks like it could be any time between January and March. I've heard March for
Yeah.
Mario Day, but that's just a rumor. It's not confirmed.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, they released a new video that's it's stuff we've seen from the USJ opening in terms of what the ride is, but it's a little more polished and slick. It's a little clearer about it very much touts the AR as a feature. And my big question, I mean, we know we're not getting the Yoshi ride, the slower moving ride. And we know it's smaller overall as a land. What I'm hoping is that it has all the same interactivity in terms of the wristband game. And more importantly, I've seen no announcements whether or not they're doing the Bowser Jr. Challenge, which is the walkthrough attraction that you can only do if you've collected the keys from the interactive game.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they're doing that and doing the app. I'm assuming they are, because in the video they're showing the wristbands and you tap on the ride vehicle to get your coins.
Yeah.
But I'll be very disappointed if they cut those, because to me that's what makes that land really unique is it's taking wand magic to the next frickin' level. There's so much interactivity.
We'll see. It's Hollywood. It's always so small. And I'd rather have enough space to make it livable than have a bunch of people running around to do some sort of quest. So
well, keep in mind that even the Japan park though is on a very small plot.
That's true.
And it is a vertical master plan. It's like 2 or 3 levels of things. So it's very cleverly sort of stacked on top of itself. And it's like when you look down from the escalator to the construction site, it's hard to tell how much of that is there or how tall it goes. We'll see. It's not far. Maybe pass holder previews by end of year, maybe for the holiday.
Well, someone will have to give us a review then. I would say a couple people.
I will give you a full review.
I want to put my Madman hat on though, and I think they should release it in May so the campaign can be "It's a May Mario," but that's just me. I just think that's what it needs to be.
Dad joke.
It's a good one though.
It is
a good one. Don't
good
tell me
joke.
you wouldn't love a billboard that says "It's a May."
I would love it. I would love it.
we should commission it and get it up.
I would love it.
Yeah.
It's a May Mario. All right.
Now we go to a new section that I missed out on last week. I'm sorry, but I love the name and I love this idea. It's called Be Where Our Guest. And it is about bad guest behavior in the parks. And oh boy, haven't we all seen that?
It'd be nice if we never had to do this segment. That would be better.
No,
but
But it's my favorite.
I mean, the first one in this proves that in every one of these segments, there's always going to be a Florida man or Florida woman style story.
Yep.
and they're always drinking for some reason.
This one's a good one though. Like a kid, they didn't say his age, did they? I think he's
so.
like a a child, that all they're saying is a child, was alone at the T-Rex Disney Springs restaurant, and mom was nowhere to be found. And so they called law enforcement and found that she had been sent to a nearby hospital because she was so inebriated.
Wow.
At
So
T-Rex.
drunk at T-Rex. First of all, that's not cheap. Those drinks are
No.
really expensive.
And they're not that good.
And they're not that good. So let's just say, first of all, props to that lady for having the fortitude to get plastered at T-Rex.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure that does not happen a lot.
Wait. Before they found receipts in her fanny pack that she had gotten 5 double Grey Goose vodkas earlier in the day.
Whew.
So like,
girl.
so she's been getting lit. She's been Miss
Man.
Rosanna. She's been having fun.
Miss Rosanna Nancy Mezzarina Meza, 42 of Clearwater. She has 4 names and took 10 drinks for each one of those names. That is of the most Florida story I think we have tonight. Would you agree?
It feels like it this week. Yeah.
I mean, poor kid. I'm so glad that Disney as a place is employees are aware enough and saw that was happening, and they've got the infrastructure to take care of him. That poor kid, my God, and poor lady. Frankly, she's obviously drinking for a reason, and hopefully she can address that reason for herself later.
Yeah, there's some messy stuff when it comes to her own alcoholic issues. But T-Rex does kind of put in mind, I just watched Jurassic Park, and of course the lawyer runs out of the car and she goes, he left us. And that's just what this reminded me of. So
the first time I walked into T-Rex shortly after it opens, we were taking clients to see stuff, and that was a comp we were looking at for some reason. I don't remember why, but somebody in the group, I forget who, I think it was one of my art directors, said that T-Rex looks like if you crossed a natural history museum with a gay bar. Am I wrong?
No, you're not.
It looks, it's all color and flash, and yeah.
And by the way, there is, if I remember correctly, they are doing some sort of Pride merch or drink at T-Rex. So make sure to get that Queens.
It's going to be a giant T-Rex going, hey!
Nothing would do my straight heart more than if I could just go with a bunch of my gay friends to T-Rex to get the Pride drink. That's
here. Happy Pride. Woo. All right. So the next bit of story we have here is this one. Can I be honest? This one sounds super shady to me.
Okay, I agree. I agree. This seems like a plan.
Guest drops Apple Watch on the seas with Nemo and friends at Epcot, which is a slow moving ride. Jumps out to get it when they e-stop, and they can't find it because it fell underneath the track or whatever. And then later says that she has $40,000 in fraudulent credit card charges. First of all, we also have to say it's the Hermes band, which is a $1,300 Apple Watch.
Yeah.
Right. And
she claims she claims
it was Hermes. I've had an Apple Watch since Generation 1. There is no setting to turn off the biometrics of the wallet, meaning it has to be on your wrist and unlocked. And if it falls off your wrist, it locks. So unless somebody had the passcode, they would not be able to use the credit card.
Yeah, I remember wanting to turn off. It was back when we were doing masks and they hadn't figured that out. And I just thought, forget it. I'll just turn off Face ID for a while. And it was like, if you do, you can't use Apple Wallet. And I was like, well, okay, I guess I keep it on. I mean, that's how staunch it is. That's why I agree with you. This feels really. You gotta see when these purchases were made.
But what are you buying for $40K at Epcot? That's the part that I'm not understanding.
Right.
Yeah.
No.
I wish that person went on a full tour and got multiple VIP tours, and then they went and stayed at the Grand Floridian, and then they did all these different upscale things.
Yeah,
they booked a trip to Galactic Star Cruiser.
Multiple trips. They have to
multiple
put
trips.
10
they just
trips.
went to Victoria Albert and said, "I'll take everything."
Right.
Um,
And that's $500. So it's like, what are you spending? Like, that's a lot.
Well, and then at the end of all that, they did not find or retrieve the watch, which just adds a nail to this coffin of like, oh, girl, you are making this up.
Yeah.
Was there even a watch to begin with?
Or was it just some cheap watch? And she's kind of like, I'm going to get an Hermes Apple Watch out of this by telling him it was one of those. And like, come on.
And you can get that Hermes like band on Amazon. Like they have a bunch of knockoffs. Like, so
you get the knockoff. Why? Yeah, why pay for that? Come on.
Yeah. Anyway,
all right.
It would not be the first person to try to exploit the Disney sort of system. For their own. Now all of this is alleged. I should just say I feel very much in legal territory. Allegedly. We're saying all of this. Like we have no proof of anything. This very well might have happened. If she's litigious already,
don't come suing us.
Yeah. This is I don't know. I don't want to besmirch any other podcast. I don't want her going off for someone else.
Well, we did not divulge her name because they did not report it. So
that's true. That's true. So,
and then our last bit of bad guest behavior, a fight broke out at the first new Fantasmic of the season since Fantasmic came back. And it was, obviously the reasons for it are pretty clear. It was overcrowding. It was people waiting and anticipation for the show. Emotions are high. There's a lot of it's not easy to visit the parks anymore. So I'm sure there's a lot more altercations in general, or just guests with hothead, happening all the time. So, a fist fight literally on the rivers of America. So there you go.
With multiple angles, if you want to see.
Twitter. Right. It's all over. It's all over TikTok and Instagram stories. You can find it everywhere.
Yeah.
The thing that whatever. That is not news. That's weather for me. And come on, fights at a theme park. This news, only because Fantasmic was new is the only reason it's news.
Mm-hmm.
My thing was the conversation that happened on mostly on Twitter after it, with people being called out for basically saying Disneyland is turning ghetto, just like Six Flags and Knott's. So being classist and racist in one fell swoop, that is not okay to say. And a lot of Disney fans were saying that, like, oh, well, and that shouldn't happen here at Disneyland. We don't have ghetto fans like Knott's and Six Flags. I'm sorry.
Oof to doof.
Is that a term we still use? Because I don't.
It's unfortunate. I mean, I feel like when we have to always look back at like what kind of guests visit Disneyland, and there is like a lot of classism and a lot of, like you said, racism when it comes to like talking about the people who go to Six Flags or not. It's like, let's be very honest. Like we had this conversation beforehand, and we like the demographics are very clear. It is a lot of low-income people who visit Knott's or Six Flags, and that's just because, like you said, they were budget parks. But to sit here and to like on your little mountain of privilege and be like, oh, well, that's ghetto. Like, who are you? Right. Like, just because you have your little bedazzled Starbucks cup of like that you bought off of fucking Etsy, live, laugh, love, like does not mean that you can sit here and talk about people being ghetto. Like,
go off, Sarah. Go off.
Because that's living in Orange County. I have heard that word my entire fucking life. Like it's just, you're constantly hearing how this thing is ghetto. Like the smallest of things can be ghetto. And it's like, you don't even talk about the history of that word and how that word is so rooted in racism.
Yeah.
And I feel like also this goes back to how some of the fights that are started in Disneyland that we have seen recorded, similar to the one in Toontown a couple of years ago, that was a Black family and it was a family altercation. Right. And immediately those words started getting thrown out about how, look what happens when we let certain people into the parks. And it's like, who are those certain people, ma'am? Yeah, who are those certain people, Michaelan? Okay, like we know who you're talking about. You know what I mean? So I just feel
drag them, Sarah. Drag them.
There's just that very specific type of Disney fan.
The
that
poison
really
on your
bothers
tongue
me.
when you say a white woman's name is impressive. I'll give you that.
Yeah,
it's very good.
Perfect. No notes. Perfect.
Yeah, but there's that fan that I can clearly pinpoint in my head. I know what she looks like. The balayage, the peach toned Instagram, like you just know what I'm talking about, right? Like you know that girl.
Yes.
And I can't help but just imagine that's who it is behind the screen that is writing the word ghetto. But let me just say this: Knott's and Six Flags, like we've talked about before this show, are getting a lot better. They look a lot nicer. And frankly, I just feel like it is very racist to be calling things ghetto. That's just that.
It is.
Unless your name is Elvis Presley, you can't use the word ghetto.
In the ghetto. Yeah, I mean, and like, sure, Knott's and Six Flags are marketed towards a lower income audience. That's not a value judgment. That's a fact.
Yeah.
But they're also marketed to everybody. It's just more accessible to a lower income audience, and to sort of put them in this category of the undesirables is, in addition to being racist, is horribly classist. Like, it's just anyway. I saw a lot of really nice, lovely Disney fans and other Disney podcasts and blogs sort of coming out toe to toe with these people and going, that's not okay, that's not a word you use anymore, and giving them the education of that. So that was nice to see.
I'm so glad that's happening, because I feel like that is the type of racism and classism that's like under the radar. It's very insidious. So it's nice to see that people are actually coming out and speaking about these things, and the ones who have already been having these conversations aren't made to feel like they're looking too deep into it. So so that's pretty cool.
But if you go to Fun Spot, you're a peasant, just so we're clear.
Don't do that.
Don't do that.
Come on. That little wooden coaster is one of my favorite wooden coasters in the country.
Well, it's the only one in Orlando. I've been told by every...
It's really good. It's surprisingly good for a tiny little wooden coaster. It's really... I rode it like 8 times in a row once. It was so good.
I usually get...
Did you say the owner was racist?
Yeah, owner's super...
Not all the owners racist. Let's just be honest.
Allegedly.
Well, we gotta start saying that now.
They did name one of their coasters, the suspended one, like the Freedom Flyer or something like that.
He's there was one place you could go where there has never, if I remember correctly, a COVID policy, and that was Fun Spot.
Fun Spot, yeah.
Fun Spot was like, y'all get over here.
Get over here.
Get over here and touch my Fun Spot. Come on. That's the title of the episode right there. That's going to be the title. I'm calling it.
Oh my God.
And then for our last segment, I love this idea as a segment, by the way, Nathan. I'm excited for this one now and in the future. We're calling it One Little Spark. And the idea is, if any of us have an idea for how to refurbish something in the parks, pitch it. So Nathan, pitch us your idea, which I absolutely freaking love.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so we, of course, recently the Bob's Burgers movie has come out. Bob's Burgers is in its, I think, 8th season, maybe more. I'm having trouble remembering. I think
it's the 12th. No.
Are you serious?
Wow. Yeah, 12.
It's of course I've seen every episode. I love Bob's Burgers. I think Bob's Burgers has become a staple. It's beloved, and of course Disney owns Bob's Burgers now. But they have not done really anything besides put it out. I imagine once certain contracts are up, we'll see Bob's Burgers hit Disney Plus. The film will go to Disney Plus. That's my guess anyway. It doesn't really feel like Hulu fodder. That's if Simpsons can be on Disney Plus, there's no reason Bob's Burgers can't. And there's no representation, of course, in the parks yet. And one thought I had, was we currently have, if you go to Hollywood Studios, we have Grand Avenue. Grand Avenue is basically the Baseline Tap House, and then a facade that's sort of nicely themed. And it's like 4 buildings, I think, maybe 3 or 4 buildings. And then, of course, that is across from Muppets. I still call it Muppets Courtyard because I'm not going to call that the Grand Avenue Theater, forget that. So that's Muppets Courtyard. And then, of course, you can enter Galaxy's Edge. And my idea is that you take the facade and you make it look exactly like the facade in Bob's Burgers, because of course every intro of Bob's Burgers has the Bob's Burgers in the center, and then you have the funeral home on the left, and then you have a rotating different, there's always somebody going in and out of the one on the right. And so we use that to make a little joke. We call it Black Tire Outpost, Discount Tires. And then Tap House, you put a sign on Bob's Burgers door that says closed for the day at the whatever fish odor food festival or whatever you want to do. And then that way over at Tap House, you can retheme that to some sort of Bob's Burgers-esque thing, sell sliders and sides, and the booze the same way it's always been. You don't have to really change the Tap House menu at all if you don't want to. But you could do burgers of the day, or burgers are probably more like burger of the month. But you could do something like that. And then that way it's really just a retheme of an area that literally currently has no theme. It's not themed to anything. So I'm generally not one that's like, let's take a thing and throw an IP on it. But no one likes Grand Avenue. Like, there's nothing besides Tap House. I'm saying people really, there are some, I mentioned this on Twitter, and there are some people who were like, well, Dad, you can't take away, what are you going to do to Tap House? Baseline doesn't change necessarily food wise, but you know, beyond that, like, that facade isn't something that attracts people for photos or anything. It's very beautiful, but it's pretty simple. So utilize it, do something fun with it. And you don't have to make a big riot or anything. You can just have this nice spot for good photos, and you can put out what is it, in the intro, the bug van. You can put that out there if you want. It's real simple, and then you have the Tap House. So I think it would be a great way of utilizing Bob's Burgers. And it's not something that if for some reason the wave dies and the show's gone and people are like, I don't remember that, it's an easy enough rechange that it's not a big deal. But I think it would mean a lot to people currently. Does
that mean that Pizza Rizzo is Jimmy Pesto?
So this is a great, my first initial idea was that Mama Melrose would be Jimmy Pesto's.
Jimmy Pesto's, yeah.
And that would theoretically still work, but it's on the other side.
Yeah.
I would rather, well, this is outside of the realm, but my thing with that whole area is it still needs to be Muppets Courtyard 100%. Yeah. I think that Mama Melrose should be Swedish Chef's Italian Restaurant, which is a hilarious name for a restaurant. And just finish it up. Like, that should just be Muppets area, and stop trying to like utilize it and be like, this theater can be anything. It's not. It's Muppets. Just make it Muppets. So then you have a Muppets land, and you have a little Bob's Burgers land, and then I don't know what the hell you're still going to do with Star Tours over there. But
add Muppets to it. Add Muppets to it, or make that Futurama like we talked about before. But at least that way, instead of this sort of murky kind of like whatever, there's something kind of connected. Currently, I think you can get into Baseline from, it's connected, or it uses the same kitchen as the Sci-Fi Dine-In. Don't have to change Sci-Fi, leave Sci-Fi alone. It's on the other side anyway. But yeah, so I think that's my idea, and now I can't get it out of my head. So
I like it.
Now it's in your head.
I love it.
I was thinking that, like, the whole wharf idea, like, it would have been cool had it been, instead of Pixar Pier, it could have been like the Wonder Wharf. Yeah. Like the entire area. Yeah. That would have been kind of cool.
Yeah. That would be great.
Yeah.
The all right.
Because we have Boardwalk pizza and pasta, and that could have been Jimmy Pesto's.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's what kind of clicked for me.
Oh, so, yeah, that would have been
and
great.
The coast, and then Incredicoaster could have changed to the coaster that they always ride at Wonder Wharf.
Yep.
So hire me and Nathan.
We got both sides of the coast figured out already.
Right? There you go.
If you guys, and by the way, if you guys have never heard John Roberts, who plays Linda Belcher in the show, if you've never seen on YouTube, he used to do these comedy shorts on his own. It's how he got the job. Kind of dressed as his mom in a wig and big sunglasses, like she's from Long Island. And the one to start with is called "Look at the Tree," and it's like, it's basically the Linda Belcher voice, and she's putting up a Christmas tree and commenting on it, and then taking it down at the end of the season. It is one of the funniest internet videos I've ever seen, and I watch it every Christmas, and it just makes me cry laughing.
Oh, so that's so great.
Go seek that out.
Oh, I love it.
For sure.
So one last little tidbit for y'all. I'm gonna drop a little sneak peek for everybody on here on the old podcast. People have been wondering what I've been up to because COVID and all, and a pivot in careers. I've been working for a company called Animal Repair Shop. You can look it up, animalrepairshop.com. It is a mixed reality studio that is started by a former Imagineer and a bunch of people who did a lot of ARGs, alternate reality games. Like they did the big marketing ones for the Dark Knight and Flint and Tron Legacy and those big, millions of players around the world, and then pop-ups at Comic-Con. So they did this gamified social storytelling people, and me from theme parks and a former Imagineer is what this company is. And we've been brewing up this new thing that by the time this goes live, this episode is released, you will be able to check out online. The site is called Infinite Rabbit Holes, plural, infiniterabbitholes.com. And it is a mixed reality adventure that you'll be able to experience at home with your family and friends through the magic of mobile AR. It is called the first one out the gate is called the Arkham Asylum Files. It is licensed from DC and features Harley Quinn and various sundry Batman villains. It's hard to describe what it is. There's the site will direct you to a Kickstarter because we're actually kickstarting the first one, and we unfortunately had to be lumped into the tabletop games. It's not really that. It has components of that, but it also has components of an escape room, and it's components of a mobile AR game. It has a story that lasts about 6 hours. So I am so excited about it because it literally is a team of people who used to do things in locations saying during COVID, saying, hey, people are really loving, and by necessity, but now even after, loving being at home. I mean, we're all used to your house being not only a safe space, but also like a viable option now that we're streaming first run movies, et cetera, et cetera. So how do we take what we know about immersion and immersive storytelling and bring that home? So it's kind of a theme park attraction in your living room, kind of, sort of. There will be a video on the site and on the Kickstarter, and again, check out infiniterabbitholes.com for more info. I hope y'all love it and get it because I am stupid excited about it and have had my grubby little fingers with a very, very talented team all over it for the last 2 years.
This looks awesome. Like it looks so cool. Let me just pledge right now because this looks amazing. Like, oh my God.
Yeah, watch the video. It's a lot of fun.
If this is what you could do, what the hell was I doing? Like, oh my gosh, like that's crazy.
Well, and it's the big idea of this studio is that augmented reality AR is on 2 million mobile phones right now, Android and iPhone, and it's underused, right? It's in Pokemon Go, everybody turns it off because it drains your battery, B, it doesn't really add to the game very much. And otherwise, what do people know of AR? Face filters on the photo apps to give me a funny mustache, or point your camera at a beer label and watch it come to life. Like, it's so underused. And so what we have decided to do is take AR that is in everybody's pocket right now, that is insanely powerful, and elevate it to the storytelling platform that it deserves to be.
It's so awesome.
I'm excited. I'll tell you that. That's cool. That's very
jaw-dropping. Sickening. Love it.
I think you're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. I'm like vibrating with pride. It is so much fun. We were in the middle of playtesting and watching people's reactions is it's just great. I can't wait for you to see it.
That's so awesome.
So that's my own little push here on our little puppet show. Thank you for listening to my sales pitch.
I mean, you sold me, so
yeah, you're sold.
I'm sold.
Excellent. Buy all three. You can buy all three in the series ahead of time if you want. Anyway, no, enough. No more sales. No more tap dancing, Dave. Turn off used car salesman mode. Let's wrap this stuff up. Rat Castle is produced by Mr. Nathan Hartman. Please consider subscribing so you don't miss an episode, and tell your friends on any of your favorite podcasting platforms. You can check out our website and learn more about all of us at ratcastlepodcast.podbean.com. You can also go and send us questions and see all of our links at bit.ly/ratcastle. and send us a question. Send us a mailbag.
Yes,
we'll read it on the air. Tell us you love us. Tell us you hate us. Slap us in the face. Whatever you want to do. We
Yes,
are
Daddy.
here for you. Yes, Daddy. That's Zaddy. Thank you very much,
Yeah.
Zaddy.
Yes.
As the kids are saying today. So thank you all for listening. We love talking to each other. We love talking to you. Thank you for being a rat bastard. Now grab your belongings and please exit the right vehicle to your left into the gift shop and have a lovely day.
Will you stop this foolishness?
What foolishness would you like to see?
Will you get out of here?